Hello students, in the last video we learned about factor groups, okay? So but we still don't know why they are important, okay? So when G is a finite group, and H is not a trivial subgroup, in that case order of G by H is less than order of G, okay, and G by H is a smaller group. So when G is a finite group and H is not a trivial subgroup of G, then order of G by H is less than order of G, and G by H is comparatively a smaller group than the group itself, and its structure is less complicated than the original group. So this is the reason why we have introduced the concept of factor groups. Let's look at one more application of factor groups. In one of the previous videos, I gave a task in which I said that prove that the converse of Lagrange's theorem is not true. So what was Lagrange's theorem? It said that if G is a finite group and H is a subgroup of G, then order of H divides order of G. Now we shall prove it using the concept of factor groups. Alright. So before moving to the proof of that, I will prove that if there is a subgroup of index 2, okay, then it has to be normal. If G is a group and capital H is a subgroup of index 2, then H is normal in G. Alright. So index 2 means order of G by H, order of G by order of H. Note that we can define G by H factor group only if H is normal in G. This is 2. This implies this is also the count of the distinct left cosets of H in G. So the total number of distinct left cosets of H in G are, obviously H has to be there, it is the identity, okay, and the other left coset can be some AH, where A does not belongs to H, because if A belongs to H, it again becomes equal to H, okay. So now we shall prove that H is normal in G. Now if consider any left coset, okay, so XH. Now there are two possibilities, either X belongs to H or X does not belongs to H, okay. Now if X belongs to H, this is again equal to H, and similarly HX will also be equal to H. So hence XH is equals to HX is equals to capital H. Now in the case where X does not belong to H, we are left with only one coset, because if X does not belong to H, XH is not equal to H definitely, because we know that XH is equal to H if and only if X belongs to H. So this is true. Now if this is true, then XH has to be equal to AH, and also HX has to be equal to AH. Alright. Therefore, H is normal in G. Now we have proved that if there is a subgroup of index 2, then it is normal in G. Now after proving that, we shall prove that A4 has no subgroup of order 6. Now we know that 6 divides 12. and we shall prove that there is no subgroup of order 6 in A4. A4 is the collection of all even permutations in S4. Now, if 6 divides 12 and there is no subgroup of order 6, this implies the converse of Lagrange's theorem is not true, because it says that if H is a subgroup of G, of a finite group G, then order of H divides order of G. Converse will be order of H divides order of G, but there is no subgroup as such. So let us assume that H is a subgroup of order 6 in A4. Alright? Okay, now in that case, order of G by order of H is 2. 12 by 6 is 2. Okay, so therefore H is normal in A4. Okay, now let alpha belongs to Sn, or basically it's G. Okay, so alpha H square will be alpha square H. Okay, so now either alpha belongs to H or alpha does not belong to H. So if alpha belongs to H, this is again equal to H. Okay, and alpha square belongs to H. Secondly, since there are only two distinct left cosets, okay, so alpha square H is not equal to H, because the order of alpha square H can be 1 or 2. Now if order of alpha square H is equals to 1, this implies alpha square H is H, this implies alpha square belongs to H. Now if its order is 2, this implies if its order is 2, then alpha H square alpha square H is equals to H. This implies alpha square belongs to H. Because alpha H is a left coset of H in G, this implies its order is either 1 or it's 2, because the order of the factor group is 2. Now if its order is 1, this implies alpha H is equals to H and alpha belongs to H. Now if alpha belongs to H, alpha square belongs to H, and if its order is 2, alpha H square is equals to alpha square H is equals to H. This implies alpha square belongs to capital H. Now if it belongs to capital H, now on observing A4, look at Cayley table for A4. Now we can find at least 9 different elements of the form alpha square. Now in A4, on looking at the Cayley's table, we will be able to find that is available in any of the books. So you can have a look at the Cayley table for A4. You will find that there are at least 9 different elements of alpha of the form alpha square which are present in A4. So we know that alpha square belongs to H. Thus each of those elements will belong to H. So there are at least 9 elements in H, which is a contradiction because H is a subgroup of order 6. So hence we arrive at a contradiction in this case, and therefore we can say that there is no subgroup of order 6 in A4, and this is also proving the fact that the converse of Lagrange's theorem is not true. Okay. The next theorem is G by Z theorem. This theorem says that if G is a group and ZG is a center, if G by ZG is cyclic, then G is abelian. Okay. Since G by ZG is cyclic, it is generated by some, say, G ZG. This is the generator of G by ZG. Okay. So let x, y belong to G. We need to prove that x, y is equals to y, x. Okay. So if these belong to G, x, zg and y, zg belong to G by zg. Okay. So this implies, since G, zg is a generator of G by zg, this implies x, zg is equals to G, zg power, you can say I, which is equal to G power I zg, because the operation is multiplying the elements on the left hand side from the group itself. Okay. So similarly we have y zg is equals to G zg power j is equals to G power j zg. This implies let's not now x belongs to xzg. Okay. So therefore x is equals to G power I z1 for some z1 in zg, and y is equals to G power j z2, where z2 belongs to zg, again center of the group. Okay. So now consider xy is equals to G power I z1 is into G power j z2 is equals to, since z1 and z2 commute with any element of the group, and rather G power I and G power j, they are also commutative, and hence we can write it as G power j z2 into G power I. So all the elements are commutative, so hence we can write it like this by x. So the theorem was that if G is a group and Zg is the center of a group, then, and if we are given that G by Zg is cyclic, then G is abelian. Okay. So more oftenly it is used in a different way. Its contrapositive statement is used. What does the contrapositive statement say? The contrapositive statement says that if G is non-abelian, because if G by Zg is cyclic, then G is abelian. Can we say that if G is non-abelian, then G by Zg is not cyclic? It's the negation of that. Okay. So its contrapositive statement is G is non-abelian, then G by ZG is not cyclic. Alright? If G is non-abelian, then G by ZG is not cyclic. Secondly, if H is any subgroup of ZG, then also if G by H is cyclic, implies G is abelian. Okay, if H is a subgroup of ZG and if G by H is cyclic, then G is abelian. See, every group has a center. Now we have not taken help of any particular, any random group. So we know that every group will have a center and we can definitely calculate G by ZG. Now if that is cyclic, then G is abelian. Okay, so this is not any random subgroup. It is a subgroup with a special property that every element of the center will commute with every element of the group. In that case, G is abelian. Okay, so if third conclusion from this theorem is very important, because that's a little different. If order of G is PQ, where P and Q are primes and G is a non-abelian, then center of G is trivial. We know that identity commutes with every element of the group. So, and it's anyhow center is a subgroup, so it will belong to ZG always. But if this is a scenario, if order of G is P into Q, where P and Q are primes, then G is non-abelian, then this is the case. So let's prove using this theorem, G by Z theorem. Okay. So we know that order of ZG divides order of G. So this implies order of ZG divides PQ. Now since P and Q are primes, this implies order of ZG is exactly 1 P, Q or PQ. Now if order of ZG is P, this implies order of G by ZG is PQ divided by P, which is Q, which is again a prime. So since order of G by ZG is prime and we know that every group of prime order is cyclic, this implies G by ZG is cyclic, which is a contradiction, because in this case using G by Z theorem, if G is non-abelian, then G by ZG cannot be cyclic, and hence this is not true. Alright. Similarly, on similar lines, we can prove that order of ZG is not equal to Q. Also, order of ZG cannot be equal to PQ, because in that case ZG will become equal to G and G, G will become abelian. Now, what is the condition of a group to be abelian? ZG should be equal to G. Okay. So if ZG becomes equal to G and its order becomes equal to the order of the group, then ZG equals to G implies G is abelian, whereas we are given G is non-abelian. Therefore, order of ZG cannot be P, Q or PQ. This implies order of ZG is equals to 1. Therefore, ZG is exactly the trivial subgroup identity. Okay, so this was G by Z theorem. And the next theorem is G by Zg is isomorphic to set of all inner automorphisms of G. What is the set of all inner automorphisms? It is collection of phi G where phi G, G belongs to G. And what is phi G? Phi Gx is equals to Gx G inverse for every x belonging to G. Alright. So we simply define a mapping. Now Gh goes to phi G. Okay. So now G1H equals to G2H implies now H is equals to Zg, alright? So we can say that H1 is equals to we need to prove that phi G1 is equals to phi G2, alright? Now if we have G1x G1 inverse is equals to G2x G2 inverse, this implies G1x is equals to now since G1H is equals to G2H, G1 inverse G2 belongs to H, which is Zg. This implies G1 inverse G2x is equals to G1 x G1 inverse G2. This implies multiplying by G1 on left hand side and by G2 inverse on right hand side, we get and we can put double implication here because we can reverse backwards also, and hence this mapping capital T from GH to phi G is 1 and well defined, and clearly this is onto for any we have defined inner collection of all inner automorphisms of G such that we get an element in G. It is based on the elements of G, and for each phi G we can write GH on the left hand side. We have an element on the left hand side, therefore this is onto, and hence we have an isomorphism. Okay, so next theorem is, which is again very important, existence of elements of prime order. Okay, so this theorem says that if G is a finite abelian group, if P is a prime, that divides order of G, then G has an element of order P. Alright. So existence of elements of prime order. We did one theorem which said that every group of prime order is cyclic. Now this is somewhat different. This is not related to that, but it is again related to prime numbers. Okay. If G is a finite abelian group and P is a prime that divides the order of G, then G has an element of order P. And we shall prove this theorem by using second principle of mathematical induction. Okay. So if P, since P is a prime, P has to start from 2. If P is equals to 2, then clearly a group of order 2 will have an element of order 2, because there are two elements. One is identity, and the second element cannot have order 1. It will have element of order 2. So is it clear? If P is equals to 2, then the statement holds true. Why? Because in a group of order 2, there are two elements. One is identity and the other is non-identity element. Identity element has order 1, and this element, if its order is 1, then again it's equal to identity, but it is not equal to identity, therefore its order is 2. So any group of order 2 has an element of order 2, and therefore if P is equals to 2, this statement holds true. And we assume that, assumption is that the result holds true for any group having elements fewer than or lesser than G. Alright. Now if G is a group, it will have an element of prime order. Why? Because if say X belongs to G, by prime factorization we can definitely write Q into M. No, sorry, order of X is, if order of X is M, then we can write M is equals to Q into N. Okay, for some Q, for some prime Q, we can always do a prime factorization and we will get a prime other than, you know, a prime number into some number. Okay, so we will have an element of order Q. So order of X power M by N, M by Q, M by Q is N. Okay, so order of X power M by Q, which is again also equal to X power N, is Q. Okay, so order of X power N is Q. So we have an element of prime order. So let's say X is an element of prime order capital Q. Alright. Now if X is an element of prime order Q, so let's define the factor group G bar as G by subgroup generated by X. Now its order will be, now order of X is Q. Now Q divides order of G. Okay, So now Q is a prime. Now what will be the order of the subgroup? This will be Q, and this order of this G bar will be order of G divided by order of X. Okay. Now order P divides order of G bar, because if P, it is order of G by order of X, P divides order of G, and hence P divides order of G bar. This implies G bar has an element by mathematical induction. G bar has an element of order P. Now let's say it's this. This is the left coset of this subgroup. Okay, this is a cyclic subgroup generated by the element X. Now let G bar has an element of order P. This implies y power P X is equals to X. Okay, this implies y power P belongs to the subgroup generated by X. Okay. Now since y power P belongs to the subgroup generated by X and order of X is prime, now order of y power P is either 1 or it is Q, because its order of every element of a finite group divides the order of the group. Therefore order of y power P will divide order of X. Okay, so it has to be, since Q is prime, it is either 1 or it is Q. If this is 1, this implies y power P is equals to identity, and then y is an element of order P. And if this is the case, then y power PQ is identity and y power Q power P is identity. In that case, y power Q is an element of order P. Now since we are dealing with primes, so we need not worry about the smallest positive integer. Primes, the divisors of prime are either 1 or the number itself. So that is why we do not need to worry about the the smallest positive integer. It has to be P. Okay. And so after this theorem, we can say that if G is a finite abelian group and P is a prime dividing the order of the group, then it has an element of order P. Now in the previous videos, we have already learnt about external direct products. Okay, how an external direct product forms a group, and we have done various theorems. We have found out the order of the elements of the external direct product, and we did a complete analysis on external direct products. But now we shall introduce the concept of internal direct product, for which you have to wait till the next video. Please do watch out these videos and stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Thank you so much.